Hello, my name is Hemingway Jones and welcome to the channel. I make videos about fountain pens, inks, journals, and journaling for curious people. Welcome. So this evening we're going to talk about something that's quite a bit of fun. I'm going to introduce you to sort of a new style of handwriting. It's a way of doing cursive that just doesn't link the letters in a word, but rather links the words in a sentence. Now, when I say new, I mean new to me. I'm actually borrowing this from some writing samples I've been researching from the 18th and the 19th centuries. But I've been starting to use it in my own handwriting just to give it a little bit more flavor, make it a little bit more interesting in all the letters that I write. I write quite a few letters. We have a beautiful pen pal group and a letter exchange for our Illuminati and our cognoscenti members of the channel. It's a lot of fun and it keeps me writing. So I thought tonight I would introduce this style of writing to you so that you might consider using it as well. It has a few techniques, but it's mostly just being very brave and plunging in. So let's do that together. So we will be discussing this particular style of handwriting, and to do so we have some tools. I'd like to go over what the tools are that we will be using this evening. First of all, it's one of my favorite pens for correspondence. This is a vintage Waterman 5 in this beautiful vintage Waterman case. I don't think it's the original case of the pen, but I'm still very grateful to have it. This pen's from somewhere in the 1930s. Judging by the style of this, I think this is a little later, maybe as late as the late 40s or 50s. It's got a bit of that atomic fleck on it, which you saw in the early 50s. But I could be wrong about that, but I think I'm right. This is a lever fill pen. It has a beautiful, flexible, ideal nib. The Waterman 5 is a brilliant pen. It's not held in as high esteem as something like a Waterman 52, but personally I think that this is a great way to get into vintage flex because I think it's absolutely brilliant. Between this and my Waterman 52.5, I think they have very, very similar, if not identical performances. So we'll be using this pen this evening. We will also be delving into my handwriting library here. This is my examination of vintage handwriting, and I do my best to copy what I've seen, and I'll be sharing a bit of that with you now. You can see here I've written the handwriting of Ben Franklin as best I could, F. Scott Fitzgerald, many others. This is William Morris, one of my favorites. You'll be hearing more from him on the channel very shortly. Frederick Douglass, who had an amazing hand. Look at that word, just love it so much. And of course, some of the sort of generic stuff. Some of this was taken from just regular documents of the time and letters here that I found online. And some of these were from the Gardner. Here's some things from the Gardner Museum. And another one from the Gardner Museum. Queen Elizabeth's writing, did my best there to kind of pick up some of that mid-century of the last century look. And Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker is one of those that has the style that we're going to play around with this evening. I just want to show you one more thing. I'm kind of proud of this. So we're not doing calligraphy. I want to make that abundantly clear. I am not a calligrapher. I'm somebody who's trying to make their handwriting interesting. I leave the artistry to much more artistic people than me. I'm just doing my best to make my writing fun so that when you get a letter from me, it's a bit unique. So you can see this is all my source material, okay? But I've since internalized it. So we'll be talking about how to do it next. This is our paper for this evening. This is Clairefontaine Triomphe. and I have, or it could be Triumph. I don't speak French. And then I have some ruled paper underneath it. This is not the bit that came with it. This is a bit darker so that I could see it better. And in different lighting. It's not showing up so much here, but trust me, it's there. I also have some ink handy, as I always do, in my vintage Egyptomania inkwell here. My Waterman is, I'm just not sure how much ink is in there. Since I'm not sure how much ink is in my Waterman 5, I want to have an inkwell close, as I always do, to re-ink. And if I mix a little, I mix a little. I don't worry about little things like that. So now that you know what we're doing, let's get writing, and I'm going to share some of this style with you. So my goal today is to write beautifully and interestingly, but not uniformly. So this is not calligraphy, it's a very free-handed method of cursive. But as stated before, instead of just linking our letters in a word, we're also going to link our words in a sentence, but not all the time, but just enough to give it a little bit of flavor. And we're going to do it with bravado. So we may make a lot of mistakes, and if we do, we're going to shrug them off and keep moving on, because that's just how it is. And I've also slanted the paper, but I have a tendency to just adjust my hand anyway when I do that. So we'll see how much slant we get. It's rarely uniform with me, so we can only try. So let's write an imaginary letter and see how it goes. And I'll describe while I go how I do this. And particularly with this Waterman 5, you can definitely get some line variation here, and fairly easily. You can barely write with any pressure at all, and you get a beautiful fine line. And then just by applying a really moderate amount of pressure, you're going to get a much thicker line. And it's just fun to vary it, to vary it between fat and thin. Of course, fat on the downstrokes, but I don't always get those uniform either. And something else I'd like to mention while we're doing this is how tough it is for me to write a capital D. I am so not happy with my capital Ds. I strive, and I just haven't found one I like, and I've been researching it for a while, and I've yet to find one that I really like. So I'm going to write an imaginary letter to a real person, just because I like writing her name. I do like my capital H. I think it's pretty nice. My M's are nice, but my D is rubbish. So let's write something, shall we? So remember, the whole point of this is to be dramatic. And I'm speaking about the writing style. Okay, so this is going to be one of my first leaps here into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dot this I, and then I'm going to cross the T and take it right into the next word, which is together. And I'm going to skip right over the T and go right to the O, and keep going. Get to the end. Now I'm going to put the T in. I'm going to do it very simply because it sort of has enough drama there without making the T too special. But you see how I did that? And then once again, I'm going to cross this T into the next T, which you sort of have to think ahead a bit. Now, normally it'd be quick while you do this. You'd be moving very fast, but I want to describe it to you, what goes through my head while I do it. Now here I'm going to do something a little crazy. I'm going to take this and turn it into a C, a capital one at that. Now you can get in a lot of trouble with that and it can look sort of rubbish, but if you pull it off, it can be a lot of fun. Also, by the way, I am known for very idiosyncratic capitalization, just because some letters, I just love their capital forms much more than the lowercase, and I tend to lean into that. Everything's a joy to me. Okay. So here I'm going to do another D, and I'm not going to be happy about it. Yeah, I never know what to do with the thing on the top. I've seen it go down, then I feel like it looks sad. I just don't like it that much. So here comes another T, another determiner. And they're always fun because this is where you leap off of. So I'm going to go into a W, and I'm going to go into a capital W. So check this out. This is a lot of fun. My favorite letter to go into is an F, a lowercase f. I'm going to try to think of a way of doing that. It's kind of hard to speak, write, and do this all at the same time. It's not too bad though. I'm writing a little larger than I normally do. So once again, here's the T. It's going to go into the next T. So we're going to take it over here, and then we're going to finish the word. So you're right a little bit out of order, but it's okay. Okay, so this is fun. I'm going to stop right here. This is one of the things I really love to do, and if you want to embrace this writing style at all, this is something you can do, okay? So check this out. I'm going to take this G, and I want to say the next, but I'm going to skip over the T, okay? So I'm going to take it and make it wispy, and I'm going to go right into the top of the H, and then I'm going to like hammer down a little wider, and then I'll put the T in. Now in this case, it kind of missed it a little, but luckily for me, I have a T here I can bring across. So that links it twice, which makes it really interesting. Sometimes I begin letters higher and you get half the letter, but it's interesting that way. So I'm going to go into a H again. So it's crossing and it's going to go here, and then I'm going to like lean into it. So you don't do it all the time. It's not always appropriate, but there are a lot of instances. So here I'm going to use another one of my favorite letters, which is capital V. So just because you can go really nice and thick and then go wispy, I just love the drama. By the way, my pen is making one of those most excellent scribing noises. I'm extremely happy with that. So I'm doing a new R now where I go down and then up, kind of like that. It's a little different for me and I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I don't always use it. Variety's nice though. So sometimes if I'm not doing much link, I might take a period, this isn't a period, this is a dot, and bend it over. just to get something in there so the line matches up. So here I'm going to go a little idiosyncratic. I'm going to cross this and turn it into an S. And that's not an S I would normally use, but it looks cool. Now here I'm finally able to show you how to do an F. I'm so excited. So I'm going to skip. I'm going to say of, but I'm skipping over the O. There you go. I love that. So it certainly has a bit of 19th century flair. That's what I like about it. It's a pretty neat way to write. Now, for variation, you really want to make it as wispy as possible if you have a flex pen. And if you don't, you can certainly do it otherwise. I have, but it definitely helps. Because these lines, they're very wispy, and you sort of tune them out if they're as thin as possible. Ooh, we're going into an F again. Oh, I love that so much. That is so cool to me. Now I'm going to skip over where the T would be and make it into an I. Perfect. By the way, how amazing is this pen? Now here I'm going to take this period and I'm going to turn it into an F to write of. So fun. Now, one thing is you have to strategically move some of your letters. Like I probably would have put that F there for proper spacing, but then they would have run together. So you just sort of have to move them. Sometimes there's a little bit more room than you would normally have between letters, but I would do that anyway. All right, I'm going into a W now. This so you can see. I'm going to go into a W and a capital one at that. That's pretty fun, huh? I really like that. Now we're going to do my new R into an E, which is very tough. Very tough for me. So, it certainly does make for an interesting letter, doesn't it? I really like the way this came out. I mean, if this were in my regular hand, it would be rather boring. Let's finish this off. And go over a few things. So, there you have it. This is a very interesting way to write. It's just a little bit different. I'd certainly write a lot faster if I weren't speaking. I might have made more mistakes. I mean, there's a few things here that could have gone better. You can certainly link some things at the bottom too, but I'm not really there yet. But I think the most fun for me is going into F's. The thes are definitely your saving graces wherever you are if you want to add one, because it's super easy to just extend a line and then go into a H and then draw a line down for the T. That is super easy to do. I believe we did that. Well, we didn't do it here, there's no T, but I know we did it somewhere, and it's definitely one of the easiest ways to link. And it gives it a romantic look. This is a letter that you can just sort of tell is interesting and a little different. It's a little bit different than you would expect. And I think for me, if I had done it in my normal hand, it would just look like, you know, sort of passable cursive that is trying its best to be neat, which is about the best I can describe my penmanship as. Serviceable. I think that's appropriate. But if you add these little embellishments, suddenly it's a little bit more interesting. Now you're wondering, oh, where did that inspiration come from? And now you actually know where it came from. It came through my study and exploration of the past, my handwriting library. I'm starting to adapt some of the things I've seen into my everyday script. Now, this wouldn't be appropriate for all uses. I wouldn't write a letter or a memo at work, for instance, but it's perfect for correspondence like we're doing with the Illuminati and the Cognoscenti. And I just really invite you to give it a try for yourself. See if it works for you. See if it's something that you like doing. It'll certainly free up your hand. It'll make you a little mad, a little unhinged, because you're just writing as usually fast as you can, and it builds momentum and can really express a lot of passion and excitement. So it's a lot of fun to write that way. I've been writing like that quite a bit, and I just really wanted to share it with you. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll say, if you've reached this point and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I'd love to have you along for the ride. We go to many different places. From a pen, you can go anywhere, and we certainly do. And if you want to support the channel even more, become a member. We do a lot of interesting stuff behind the scenes, blooper reels, commentaries on videos, and even a giveaway sometimes. So we do a lot of really fun, interesting stuff. So come on back. I make new videos every week, and I have a live show Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. So I promise you, we will see each other again very soon, further up the road. So take care.